Hello, everybody.
Hello.
You guys having a good night?
Yes.
Y'all ready to learn about anti-gravity?
Yes.
Oh,
Over.
So, gravity, one of the four fundamental forces that hold our universe together. It holds the planets in orbit around the sun and allows the moon to orbit around Earth. The gravitational pull of the moon pulls the sea towards it, causing the ocean tides. And by pulling together the building blocks from which they are made, gravity creates the stars that lighten up our skies and the planets that fill the depths of space. So you can imagine what life would be like without it, non-existent. However, what would happen if we could manipulate gravity? What would happen if we could control its power? This is where the idea of anti-gravity comes in. What is anti-gravity, you may ask?
Yeah, huh? What is anti-gravity?
Anti-gravity, although a wonderful fantasy, can never truly be obtained. Gravity, because it is defined as a force that attracts two bodies to each other, exists everywhere in the universe. Since we cannot remove all things containing mass in the universe, then there is really no way to achieve true zero gravity. However, scientists have observed and simulated instances where gravity is reduced to such a degree that objects appear to be weightless, while in reality, g-forces are not quite zero, just very small. By using methods such as free fall, electromagnetism, and aerodynamic lift, they are able to create the illusion of anti-gravity. This environment in which people and objects appear to defy the laws of gravity is called a micro-G environment. In 1920, this is the history of anti-gravity research. In 1921, Thomas Townsend Brown found that a high-voltage collage tube seemed to change mass depending on its orientation on a balanced scale. Through the 1920s, Brown developed this into what essentially seemed to be a large capacitors. He called this device a gravitator. Brown would continue his work and later tested his asymmetrical capacitor devices in a vacuum, supposedly showing it was no more than a down-to-earth electrohydrodynamic effect generated by high-voltage ion flow in the air. In 1948, Roger Babson, a well-renowned businessman, formed the Gravity Research Foundation to study ways to reduce the effects of gravity. Their initial efforts were somewhat obsessive, but they occasionally caught the attention of people like Clarence Birdseye and the inventor of the helicopter, Igor Sikorsky. As time passed, the foundation's efforts switched from trying to control gravity to simply better understand it. The Zero Gravity Research Facility was built in 1966 as a part of NASA's Centaur Upper Stage rocket development program. Gravito-electric coupling. In 1992, Eugene Pavlovich claimed to have discovered that a fast-rotating superconductor reduces the gravitational effect. No studies have been able to reproduce Pavlovich's results. Ning Li and Douglas Torr of the University of Alabama in Huntsville proposed how a time-dependent magnetic field could cause the spins of a lattice ions in a superconductor to generate detectable gravitomagnetic and gravitoelectric fields in a series of papers published between 1991 and 1993. No prototypes of these devices were ever published. Then in 1998, Torr, this time partner with Timir Data, was involved in the development of a gravity generator at the University of South Carolina. According to leaked documents, the device would create a force beam in any direction, and that the university planned to patent this and license this device. No further information about this university's research project or the gravity generator device was ever made public. Gyroscopic devices. Follow-up studies on Brown's work and other claims have been conducted by R.L. Talley in 1990 by the U.S. Air Force by a U.S. Air Force study, NASA scientist Jonathan Campbell in 2003 in an experiment, and Martin Tajmer in a 2004 paper. They have found that no thrust could be observed in a vacuum, therefore disproving Brown. Today and age. Breakthrough Propulsion Physics Program. The Breakthrough Propulsion Physics Program emerged in 1996 through 2002. NASA provided funding for this program. This program studied a number of designs and space propulsion that did not receive funding through normal university or commercial channels. Anti-gravity-like concepts were investigated under the name diametric drive. The work of the BPP program continues in the independent, non-NASA affiliated Tau Zero Foundation. Why is studying anti-gravity important? You know, like, what's the whole point of this? Well, anti-gravity research actually trains astronauts for space so they can better understand how to work there. NASA uses a modified 4-engine jet to fly on a parabolic orbit so that for a certain period of time it is in free fall towards Earth. In this period, astronauts practice eating, drinking, and using various kinds of onboard shuttle equipment. It helps study the effects of weightlessness on humans. Weightlessness causes several key systems of the body to relax as it is no longer fighting to pull the pull of gravity. Astronauts' sense of up and down gets confused. Crew members experience a disruption in their proprioceptive systems, which tells where arms, legs, and other parts of the body are relative to each other. Calcium in bones secretes out through the urine, causing bones to weaken. Muscles also lose mass. Vision change is likely caused by the spinal fluid that stays constant in microgravity instead of the normal shifting that takes place on Earth, and slight deterioration in cognitive ability and bone formation can occur. Zero-gravity research facilities, such as the one in Ohio, investigate the behavior of components, systems, liquids, gases, and combustion in microgravity environments, and have also successfully supported research for the United States manned spacecraft programs and numerous unmanned projects. So where will we go from there? Who knows? You know, work is still being done. Scientists predict the possibility of dozens of people living and working in space as soon as 2030. Imagine a world straight out of the movies, a future in which vehicles soar freely through the air, highways, boats, and railroads become obsolete, industries in which large masses have to be transported or supported from mining to construction are revolutionized. People gain unprecedented mobility transcending all geographical and national barriers. Meanwhile, space travel becomes safe, cheap, and fast. Resources can be mined in the asteroid belt and shipped to factories orbiting Earth, freeing our planet from pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. Ultimately, our dream of colonizing other worlds could become a reality, not just for a handful of highly trained astronauts, but for everyone around the globe.